Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you've been here before, my name is Mishka, and in today's video we will be building for the new Businesses and Hobbies expansion pack. I forgot to say, but I hope everyone is doing well. I'm doing great. I'm really excited by this pack. I think this is the first pack that I've bought on a release just because of how excited I was by the different kind of builds that we can create. But to explain a little bit more about what we are creating today, in today's video we are creating an industrial style art studio. A lot of people have been building, the really colorful builds, and I just wanted to go in a different direction. So I decided to do something in the upper neighborhood of this new world, Nordhaven, which is a more industrial area. And it's surrounded by these warehouses. So I actually copied one of the warehouses that is like far off in the distance for the shell of this build to kind of make it look like it fits into the environment. But obviously it still sticks out because I feel like there is a lot of things around it that you don't see around the other builds or around the shells. So I decided to go with a pottery because this build will be base game and the pack only. So there's 3 skills in this build. It's pottery, painting, and woodworking. I've never actually used woodworking in a build before, so I was excited to incorporate this. And then I've included the opportunity to also sell with this lot, and then also to teach, like to mentor or do classes with this lot. I've heard that that's the best way to make money with this pack. And so yeah, I've incorporated all of that into this build. I do have a few name suggestions, like for the build. I googled because I can't really think up names, but it's the Artful Space, Artistic Visions, and then Artistic Alchemy. Let me know which one you guys like the most. But it's probably going to be one of the 3, and obviously if you download the build, you're welcome to name it whatever you want to name it. So the idea that I did have for this build is like, it was a warehouse, it was converted then into an art studio. Maybe it had been dormant or open for a long time, and then your sim comes along and buys it and basically modernizes it. Because initially I wanted it to be more rustic and more like, okay, they just came here, they moved in, and they set up shop. But it turned out to be a lot less rustic. You can see from the preview images, I love the way it turned out. But just know that the vision before that was for it to be a little bit more rustic than what it was. And also, I know that this video is a little bit late compared to other people releasing content on this pack, but I had so many issues, and also this weekend was so jam-packed because, we got that update before this pack. My mods was so broken, and I build with Toolmod and Build By from Twisted Mixie, and unfortunately those mods are really broken. So for me to be able to build this, I had to actually create a new save file that's without custom content so that I could hide my custom content. Because one thing that was distracting me so much, you can actually see it in the beginning on screen currently, my custom content was showing. And yes, there is a filter that you can use for the packs, but you see, because I was using base game and then this pack, a lot of custom content is based on the base game furniture. So when you select base game to filter out, it will actually still show the custom content, and that was irritating me because it was taking me twice as long to find items than it would have been if my custom content was not showing. So I decided, okay, I'm just going to start a new save that doesn't require custom content, and then I'm going to build in that save and then put this build later into my save or my normal save. But I'm actually thinking about restarting my save altogether because it's been about 3 years now on that one save, and I think things are slowly disintegrating. I have extra worlds and stuff, and I figured out that one of them was because of a mod that I had in that was outdated. But yeah, so I'm thinking of maybe just uploading my favorite builds, my favorite sims to my library, and then just restarting fresh new save, and then putting those people or those builds back because I am so tired with the issues with it. So Yeah. Like I said, this pack is just there's so many ideas. And I kind of went through, the activities that you can use. So this lot is not the lot where you can have a residential lot. It's just a small business venue lot, I think it's called. So your sim won't live here, they'll just own this lot. And I think it would be a good idea to have them be an expert in pottery, woodworking, and what's painting is the other one, so that they can maybe lead the classes. And like I said, I also included a space where there are the sale shelves that you can place things on to sell. So yeah, then there was something else that I was saying before that when I completely went off on a tangent. Oh yes, the other opportunities or possibilities with this pack. Like there's so many things that I can create now that I'm like booming with ideas. So if you have any ideas of what you want to see me build, let me know. That won't be pack limited builds. Just because with the pack limited builds, it is very limiting. Like I feel like there was a lot that I could have added if I did include the other packs, but I understand that maybe someone just bought this pack and then has the base game. So I wanted to create a lot for someone who does only have this pack in the base game, or just this pack and a few other packs, so that they could download and enjoy the build as well. And like I said, with the mods being broken, I was also limited in how I was building. So if I had the tool mod, there would have been so many things that I would have done differently. Like for example, I got brushes and a whole lot of tools from debug, but the way that they are, or the way they are positioned, I would have liked to maybe rotate the brushes and put them in a cup or something to kind of create um proper a proper painting studio. It is wild to me that painting is a base game skill, but we don't have painting clutter in the base game, except maybe for one. Um, there's like this table thing that's covered in paint, and there's like a paintbrush on it and a palette. That's the only thing that even pertains to paint in the base game, which just doesn't make sense to me. Unless you have, obviously, I forget what it's called, but the artist studio kit, I think. So then you can make it look more like a painting place or painting studio. But no, even that was just one example. With this new pack, I really do like the objects. I use most of the business objects in here because I wasn't building a residential lot. So I can't speak really to how much I like the other objects, but for the business things, I do like it. My only qualm as well is that with pottery, I just feel like yes, you can use the debug pottery items that you will eventually make and sell to clutter, but I just wish there was a little bit more. There was a little bit more. You'll see me use something, and maybe I'll point it out when it comes up late in the video. I use it so many times in this build because it was the only thing that was really related to pottery and then painting that I could use to clutter up the build. And my inspo photos for this build was a lot of clutter everywhere, like ceramics and pots and paintings. And yeah, with the industrial studio, art studio ideas that I was looking at before I built this, there was just always a lot of paintings and ceramics and pots and clays and woodworking everywhere. So I was trying to kind of have that same vibe in this build. I think I got there. It helps obviously when you use debug, which if you don't know what debug is like a hidden catalog of all of the things that your sims will make. So you have like, there's a cheat that you can use to access all of those items, so that you kind of have a little bit more to work with. So for example, when your sim paints on a canvas, they'll have a paintbrush in their hand. That paintbrush will be in debug. It won't necessarily be in the normal items. And so I use those items that sims would use in different animations to kind of clutter up the place and so on. It would be obviously more convenient if those things were just there to begin with. so that I don't have to go and search them out in the debug menu. That was also another thing that was like not working for me in my original save, because I had taken out Tool and Build By. Tool and Build By is such good mods for building. Seriously, it organizes the catalog. You have different filters, and then also you can download the cheats from Twisted Mixer as well. That keeps the cheats on, so you don't have to put it into the cheats bar every single time you want to build or if you want to do anything else. I think there's mainly build cheats that he has on his website. And so, because I don't know why, but in my original save file, the cheats for live edit menu was not working. So I could not build without the live edit menu. I was like, I need those objects because, like I said, I'm already really limited in the objects because I was only using base game and the pack. So that's what actually prompted me to now, start a new save. Because I think after a while, I was like, okay, the custom content is showing, but I can surely I can get through this. And this was my first time starting a new game ever since I started playing The Sims. I think I've always been afraid that like if I start a new game, it will overwrite my old save file, but apparently that's not what happened. So I was really happy about that. I have such an attachment to my save file that I started with. It's actually so weird. I don't think any sum in that save file I have allowed to die because I'm just like so attached to the ones that I play with. So I just keep them alive in my game all the time. And if they do die, I bring them back to life, which you can do with MC Command Center, I think, which is another mod. So yeah, that's what was kind of bugging me with this build and probably why it took me so long to upload this. But I had so much fun doing it, seriously. Once I had the outline for the outside shell, which shells are always really intimidating for me. I used to be someone who never rebuilt like built a structure from the get-go. I would decorate. So I would either download builds from the gallery and then redecorate them, and I would just never touch the shell. And then one day I was like, okay, you know what? I want to say that this build is fully mine. So let me attempt to build the shell. And it wasn't that bad, but still, I do struggle with the shells. And if you do too, I recommend, going on Pinterest. I think I've mentioned this many times before. Look up something that you want to build and then copy that. Try and copy that. And then I think also watching Sims YouTubers who explain a little bit more than I do about what I'm doing. Um, yeah, follow them and kind of catch on to what they are doing. My favorite building creator is probably Sid Mac, and then I also like the Legacy. They give a lot of tips when they are building. Um, yeah, so a little bit about what I was doing right now. I didn't show the whole process of me kind of putting up that shelves and then also the new accent table. I think it's called an accent table, because it changed so much throughout the process that if I couldn't actually clip the videos to show, okay, this is where it started and then this is where it ended up, because there was so much happening in between, and so it would have made the video so much longer if I just included the whole clip. But the shelves are the base game shelves, and then all the clutter in those shelves on the side is from the pottery. I mean, not from I was going to say the pottery kit, but from the expansion pack. And so yeah, I just couldn't include the whole clip of me going back and forth, because the thing is I wouldn't have used those shelves. I wanted something else, but the base game shelves are not really that long and wide for what I was trying to create. So I just used, I think it's a towel rack actually that I used as a shelf. And then I also used the paint bottles. And I think those bottles are actually meant to go with a tattoo skill. But I didn't have any kind of painting looking objects. So I just used the tattoo bottles, because I remember when we have a clay cafe in Cape Town, and we visited the clay cafe about, I think it was in October last year. And when we went there, we got to choose, I think, 4 colors, and they came in these squeegee bottles. So I just thought it actually makes sense to be using it. And then I did include a sink area, because from what I've seen about pottery, I've never actually, gone to a pottery studio, made pottery, whatever. Only, clay cafe, and the objects are already made. You just choose what you want to paint while you're eating. So from what I have seen, though, it can be quite messy. So I was thinking, if you're going to have people come over, because my idea for this is that um it's not expert pottery makers or painters or woodworking people that come here. It's actually Sims that are either coming here for a day out, or they're coming here to learn more about the skill. So they wouldn't be that advanced that it would be less messy, I guess. I don't know. I really don't know. Like I said, don't really know a lot about pottery. And so for the section that I'm working on now, I started with a pottery section because that was just what I felt like, okay, this is a good starting point. I didn't know what I wanted to create for the section that comes from or that you walk into at first. So I decided to make this like a display section. I guess the idea is that maybe your sim does own this place, and then there are some people that donates what they create to the space, or it also functions as a art gallery. Um, so I really wanted this focal point in the space, because it's the first place you're walking into. So I decided to create that with the planters, and also I just really wanted to use those planters because they are so nice. I think it's one of my favorite objects. The plants from this pack is really nice. I always use that one base game plant that fans out really, like, it fans out a lot. I didn't use it in this build, but that's my favorite. But it fans out so much that when you put it in a corner, it will always poke through the walls. So with this pack, there's a new plant. It looks similar in the way it fans out, but it's a lot more vertical, if that makes any sense. So you can actually tuck it in a corner and it won't come through the walls. I hope I'm making sense, and I hope you know what plant I'm talking about. And so in this display section, right, just moving on, in the display section, because there is woodworking and there is also pottery and there is painting, I decided to include elements of those as well. If you do download the poll, feel free to change whatever display or anything I put on display over here. And then I also just want to mention this, because I raised up objects, sometimes the objects would not sit flush on the surface, or flush to the surface. So just note that sometimes objects are raised a little higher than the surfaces. Usually I would use the tool mod to kind of bring it down a little bit so that it sits exactly on the surface. But like I said, I couldn't use it here, and I was so sad because I really do believe that this build would have turned out even better if I did have the tool mod. Hopefully when it comes back, when it's finally updated, I will then go in and make those changes that I wanted to, and maybe like make a community post that I've uploaded an updated version of this. But you can also let me know if it's fine the way that it is. I think it just frustrates me because I am a perfectionist. So I was gonna place those pottery, I think, I don't know what you would call that, but it's pottery wall art on the display shelf, but I wanted somewhere to show the paintings so that all 3 skills was incorporated into this display section. I think, yeah, into this display section. And so, I got this idea with the fairy lights on a whim, and then I just decided to put it everywhere. I think I mentioned it in my last video, but I love a fairy light or a string light. I love putting lights in the build. I like making it like part of the design of the build to have certain lighting. it's just a way to kind of make it look a little bit, I guess, different. So yeah, and then that window, I decided to create that because I did want a section where Sims can kind of walk past and see it through, see through to the display, so that it creates, in my head, it creates some interest into, oh, what is on display in the studio. Not that that happens in the Sims, they don't really react to things around them all that much. So yes, and then I decided to include the bathrooms in here. I really wanted to use the stall. I think it's the best stall that we've gotten so far, and I didn't feel like I needed it to be any more things than, just the stall and then the plumbing and the mirrors. But I did decide, I think, to put in the hanging plant. The hanging plant from this pack is also, oh, it's not a hanging plant, but it's a wall plant. It's one of my favorites. And then for the pottery studio, so I was between clips recording when I came up with this idea to do this with the roof. I love doing roofs like this. It just creates a little bit of a different look, I would say, interest to the ceilings, because the ceilings in the Sims are kind of boring, I'm not gonna lie. um there's so many different kinds of ceilings that I wish I could create in the Sims 4. Like, if you ever looked at vaulted ceilings, castle ceilings, um I just wish that was a possibility in The Sims. And I've tried to create that with roofing before, but like deleting the flooring or the ceiling from the roofing part, so that when you look up, it looks like it's vaulted. But there's all sorts of things that come in, and yeah, for example, in this build, there's a third floor, right, where I placed the roof on in the beginning. I don't know if I'm describing that right, but yeah, and I wasn't using the third floor. So the idea was that I was going to then take out the ceiling and the floor of that third floor, so that you could look like through it and see the roofing. But it didn't look right, because the chimneys could be seen from the roofing. There was the other roofing pieces, you could see them cut through the roofing as well. And yeah, so I just decided to leave it like the normal ceilings and leave the floors in, so that you wouldn't be able to see the roofing. So now I'm working on the woodworking space. Now, initially, everything up here was very open plan. Everything was open to the other spaces. There you can kind of see what I mean with the roofing. But I actually then put the floor back so that you could not see through, which is what I was explaining before this. But anyways, I'm working on the woodworking space now. Now, here is where I really wish that I had the tool mod, because I think I explained a little bit before, but in debug, you can find hammers, saws, wrenches, tape measures, all of these things, because that's what the Sims kind of use when they are either doing woodworking or some other skills. And there you can kind of see the debug menu. So I just placed down all of these tools, and I wish I could have rotated them so that I could either hang them on the wall or place them in like a bucket, or not a bucket, but like a something that could hold the tool. And so I couldn't do that, so I just laid them down on these side tables. And I guess the idea is that, when Sims come here and they want to learn about woodworking, they collect their tools from these benches. On the side as well, I created like a little wood area where they can get their wood from. And I was on the fence about what else I could use in that space, because you can see by the stairs at the moment that it's kind of open, but I later kind of fit a cafe into there. So yeah, there was something else that I was just going to say. I keep on forgetting what I was going to say. And so this is also something that was complicated by the fact that I never realized how much I rely on my mods to build. It just makes things a lot more convenient. So in this way, I was kind of proving to myself, okay, you're a real builder now, because you can actually build without mods. But let me tell you, it was not without suffering and struggle. But yeah, so I had to place each object on a shelf and then place it off the shelf so that I can actually line it up in a neat way. So that took really long, and I don't really show a lot of that process because of how long it took me to place each object. So you'll see sometimes it cuts to the next clip when the place is like decorated, because um it just took too long. It was so long. I think that's what took the longest with this build. There I cut to it kind of being finished already. And then now I'm going to be working on the woodworking section. And so like I explained before, this it was very open, And then I was thinking, once I had finished this woodworking section, woodworking is really loud. My father did woodworking for a living, and so um I know, or I know how loud it can get. And I was actually also thinking about what was in his workshop at home when I decorated this space. And so I really did throw everything into this space that I could find that was a tool. And I remember while I was building this, I asked my husband, would you use a wrench with woodworking? Because even though my father did woodworking, I kind of really avoided his space because it was so loud. And so, for example, these masks, I was like, when would you use this mask? Because my father, he was like heavy duty. He didn't use a mask for anything. But I assume like if you're using a jigsaw to cut the 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 wood, you would maybe use a mask. I don't know. I've never played with a woodworking skill in this game, so I don't actually know what Sims use, but I'm assuming it's maybe just a hammer and maybe a saw for the woodworking skill. So yeah, but I threw everything in there. There's sanding blocks, tape measures, the masks, and then I also put like this huge vacuum that I found in debug there, because the idea is that, once the class is done, the instructor will then go and vacuum and tidy up the place. So that's why I put there, but really I didn't know what else to put there. So, and then I also included pieces of wood, like I said, from debug to kind of make it a woodworking section. And so now I'm just doing a cafe. I like to include places where my Sims can eat, even in community lots. And well, this would be a business lot, but I just feel like it kind of calls for it in this build. And then I thought about, oh, but there isn't really a section for the owner of the build. So I incorporated this small, really small office. It's very small compared to the other spaces in this build, but I think maybe just like a place where your sim would set the appointments for the class and organize what is happening in the studio for the week. I guess that's what I thought about this office space. And so with the new pack, you can actually set certain areas for the shop or for the employees. I don't know where my mind just went, but yeah, you can set certain sections for employees and then for the public, and then there's another one, but I forget what it is. Oh, residential, I think is the other one. So yes, before I went on that tangent, I was actually on this tangent of how loud woodworking is, and that's why I decided to close it off. Because if I'm having a painting class, right, I don't want to hear people trying woodworking. So the idea is that, it's enclosed, and also that these are like soundproof glass in my head. Like I said, not that it matters in The Sims, but I like to build sometimes for realism, other times not. For example, when I put candles everywhere, like my dark Victorian mansion, that was not for realism, that was for the vibes, that was for the looks. So now I'm just working on the last section, and the last section was the painting, is the painting studio, and that's the thing I was referring to in the beginning when I said that is the only thing that is really, other than the easels, associated with painting in the base game, which doesn't make sense to me. It's literally a base game skill. And later on, I was thinking to myself, should I make this an all pack build? Because there are paint cans in City Living's debug that I really wanted to use. There's nothing like that in base game debug or in this new packs debug, other than the bottles that I guess you would use for the tattooing and in the pottery that I placed down there. which are painting bottles. So I kind of use that here as well. And like I said, once I figured out this light trick, the fact that the string lights were showing through the column, there's like a little groove in the column and they fit perfectly in that groove. I just did it everywhere on all of them, and it kind of then set this or gave me the idea to make all of the places where the presenter, yeah, the board where the board is, it kind of gave me the idea to make all of them look the same in that way. And then I also included painting, I mean, not painting, plumbing or sinks over here, just because I know painting can be quite messy as well. And like I said, these are not experts that are coming to the class. I don't know if that's how it works with the pack, if you must be a certain level in the painting skill to even take the class. I haven't, from the gameplay that I've seen, I've not noticed that. I'm yet to like play the pack myself. I was just busy with this build, and like I said, it was a crazy weekend. Aside from all the issues that I was having with the game, I had other things that I had to do, and so I didn't get to really delve into the pack. And this week is going to be a really busy week with work, so I'll only probably, that was my laptop just telling me it's flat, but I'll only probably get to painting playing with the pack after the the week is over. And even then, so I have so many other ideas of what I want to do with this pack. And I'm just gonna go grab my charger quickly for my laptop. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back with the charger. Laptop is charged. I was so worried that it was gonna switch off while I was doing this voiceover, and probably didn't disappear for you, but yeah, I thought I should just mention it just in case you hear like a blip in the clips of me switching it on and then switching it off to re-record or to record this section. But so yes, I just placed luckily, oh yes, we do have those painting things from base game. I'll give them that. The painting shelf, or I don't know what you would call that, but the thing that I placed in the wall, and then the canvases, but I mean like no painting cans or brushes. That's what I'm referring to. And so this is the object that I was speaking about that I repeat throughout this build like several times. It's from the Businesses and Hobbies expansion pack, but I think it's meant for the pottery studio, but it's just like ceramics with brushes in them. So I thought that would fit into this painting studio as well, or to the painting section of the studio as well. And then I also decided to, use debug to clutter up these tables. Sorry. And then I also found these cans from debug. I should actually go and check if they are still there, because I mentioned this in my previous video, but sometimes debug items disappear in game. And so there you can see I kind of give you a fast forward into how that eventually looked. And now I'm just decorating this balcony. There are many spots around the build where there are bump outs, but there's no roofing on those bump outs. They look like balconies, but they aren't. They're just there for decoration. And then I just changed the colors of a few things, and yeah, that was the end of this build. I really love how it turned out. You can let me know what you think. I had so much fun also building this, and I can't wait to build many different things with this pack. But let me know what you think, and also please like and subscribe if you actually enjoy this video and my other videos. I always forget to say that, but I told myself, I wrote it down to remind myself to say it today. I know I was rambling a lot in this video, but hopefully that wasn't too bad. Yeah, I will chat to you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for being here. Bye bye.